So Peter, tell me a bit about your night terrors.
I've been suffering with night terrors since I was, gosh, about 6 or 7. Escalating and changed slightly over the years, from very graphical imagery such as, you know, terrible dream states like witches and...
Is this when you were a child?
Yes, yeah.
So what sort of, how were they characterised in your childhood?
Childhood, it was very much being watched, watching and being chased type of scenario, typically by a witch of some sort, or in some cases an elderly looking person of, you know, kind of probably stimulated from watching films such as Poltergeist as a child and things like that.
That's quite scary to watch as a child. How old were you?
When I watched that film,
watched Poltergeist,
probably about 10 or 11. Yeah.
Maybe not the most sensible film to watch.
No, not to recommend.
So if you look at the night terrors, can you remember when they started? Anybody telling you when they started?
Not really. I did sleep. I was told I sleepwalked as a child.
Yeah, you don't know what age you were sleepwalking.
I would have been it would have been preschool, so I would have imagined 3 or 4.
Okay. Do you know if when you were a baby you slept all right? Were there any sort of anecdotal stories in the family about, you know, how you slept when you were a baby, that you were really good and your mother didn't have any sleepless nights?
I would like to think I was quite good because I didn't hear any stories down the road that would contradict that.
Right, you know. So do you think it was more when you were about 3 that they started then?
Yeah, I've always had an active imagination. As a child I would always talk about seeing ghosts and things like that, so I don't know whether that was linked to, you know, kind of the imaginary friend type of stage of childhood.
What do you think?
I would like to think it was not imaginary friend syndrome. I think it was very much more, I mean, I can still remember the imagery that would move from either my bedroom or into our upstairs hallway.
So it was a familiar ghost then?
Yeah, and it wasn't always scary, it was much more in terms of...
Was this in a dream or would you...
No, this was, I'd be awake. We didn't allow our doors to be closed in the house. That was kind of a golden rule from the parents.
So when you were a child, you didn't sleep with doors closed?
No, doors were always open. So It was always that, typically looking out of my room from awakening from a dream, looking out of my room and seeing, typically it was this young boy.
Are you sure that you were awake when you saw these images, or this image? Was it always one image, or are you saying there was more than one?
It was typically always this boy, but yet it did progress when I got slightly older to be a slightly older boy. So I don't know whether it was if it was in my imagination or if it was really there.
But was this in an awakened state? Are you sure you were awake when you would see this boy?
It felt 100% like I was awake.
Right. And did you tell anybody in the family that you were having this experience?
Yeah, I would share it with parents, my sister. My sister had an occasion where she would say she saw something quite similar as well, but I would be more the distressed child talking about this boy won't let me play with certain things, and it would link back to the visions I was having.
Do you think the boy was you?
No idea.
And did you notice?
I mean, visually now, the visual I have of that boy, he had dark hair. As a child, I had bright blonde hair.
Right.
Face was typically quite, as you would imagine, not quite nondescript. Average looking.
So you would see his face, although
he would always start. It would always start with his back to me.
Right.
Doing something, whether it be playing with a train, a car, something like that, and he would typically vanish upon turning to face me, but I would capture that glimpse of a face. I've been suffering from night terrors since I was very young. In terms of how they change everyday life really for me. Going to sleep every night's it's always, you know, on your mind whether you're going to have an episode or not. The sleep paralysis is something that really does affect me. Obviously, anytime you have a nightmare or a bad dream, it's disturbing when you wake up, but if you've been kind of locked in a position, you physically awake and yet you can't move, but you know, that's very, very upsetting. So yeah, there's always a fear when going to sleep that, you know, you might have a really bad night or you might get a normal night's sleep.
How long was this boy in your life for?
Up until like halfway through middle school. So good, I mean, it was very from toddlerish age, so 5, primary school, pretty much my primary school years, I would say.
So was he very familiar? Was this how frequently would you see him?
God, it's hard to actually look back and say how often. I mean, probably once every couple of months, I would say back then. I mean, it was enough for it to become kind of that firm, you know, kind of favourite family joke with, you know,
yes,
uncles and aunts visiting and people saying, you know,
did you give him
everyone
a name?
knows about it. No, boy never had a name.
Right. And was he familiar in any way?
No. I mean, apart from that kind of very average looking...
So he didn't look like somebody that you knew?
No, it wasn't like kind of taken from either, you know, like a film or a child at school, anything like that. It was just a very, I mean, I would say if anything, had an older, like Victorian look.
But it could have been from something you'd read, a film you'd seen or a television
Yeah,
program.
and that, you know, and as I've got older, I've almost dismissed those whole experience to being either figment of the imagination, you know, a lot what people, you know, just tell you.
Yes, but so with this boy, he was in your life until sort of the middle of middle school. Then you're saying. So what happened then? Did he disappear? What happened? Did it just gradually forgot? Did you move house?
Yeah,
or?
No, grew up in the same house. No idea. And then that's why I probably put that one to one side as if that was just, you know, a stage of childhood that, you know, you visualise these things.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you, were you always in bed when you saw him?
It was always evening. Yeah.
When you were in bed?
In bed, going from a sleep state to I've awoken abruptly.
Right, so you had been asleep always before you saw him?
Yes.
Okay, and so you would always be, you'd just woken up and you see him. Do you remember what you'd been dreaming about, or how you were on awakening prior to seeing him? Were you ever feeling...
Normally that was, unlike what I experienced today, it was always a calm state of sleep and then awakening.
Right.
It wasn't on the back of a bad dream.
Okay.
And that's the reason why, as a child, I was so pushy about it being a ghost or, you know, something else rather than just kind of the dream continue, you know, waking up from a nightmare.
Well, it could have been that, you know, although you thought you were awake, you weren't quite awake, and you were in that sort of stage between.
Right.
Sort of when your body is ready for sleep, you're not properly awake. So it could have been like a dream that you could have when you're partially awake.
Right. And
that might have been what was happening for you.
Diagnosing the causes behind nighttime sleep paralysis has been pretty hard. I've kind of gone through a lot of kind of just trying to eliminate different variables, whether it's food related. I've seen doctors about that. The main thing that tends to happen, typically I can feel one coming on, is if there's high levels of stress or lack of sleep through work-related stress or just general lifestyle stress. So stress is definitely a trigger for them springing on, I know that for sure.
Can you just tell me how it was? So we know that they started roughly when you were about 3 years old.
Yeah, the sleepwalking started, I was 3 or 4.
Were the night terrors happening when you were sleepwalking? Do you know if...
My parents just would say that I was extremely distressed and they couldn't really make head nor tail of what I was so upset about.
So your parents would come into your room,
yeah,
and you would be upset,
yeah,
tearful, or
normally panic.
You would be in a
panic state, yeah.
And they were trying to talk to you,
which I obviously have no recollection of, but yeah, I mean, it was very much trying to calm me down, and they would say it typically would last, 5 or 6 minutes, and then out like a light, as
and then you'd be fast asleep.
Yeah.
Okay, and then in the morning, fine.
Yeah, and no recollection of the episode.
Okay, so did the night terrors continue in that sort of pattern, or did the pattern change at any time? If we take now the years between 3 and 12, let's look at those years. So, do you know if the pattern changed?
Yeah, the pattern would, well, obviously from being extremely young I couldn't remember that, but the older I have become, the pattern has certainly changed in terms of...
I don't want to go into adulthood yet,
right,
so
okay.
I'm just staying up until you were 12.
Yeah.
Do you know if did the sleepwalking continue?
No, sleepwalking ended pretty much, I think, was, because I don't actually physically remember doing it myself, so primary school age, that was done, so
and
that
then
was
you
very much a toddler thing.
So you didn't sleepwalk after that?
No.
Okay, so when do you remember night terrors?
Around proper, full-on, not just a nightmare scenario, 7 or 8.
7 or 8. What do you remember? What's your earliest recollection?
Earliest night terror that I can remember actually became a bit of a recurring one. Explain it in more detail. It felt like end of spring, early summer, 4 o'clock type time of day, so that almost getting to where the sun would set. But it was bright sunshine, perfect day type of environment. Sky was no clouds, because when I would see them circling, you could see them very
circling?
The witches.
So you would see. How were you seeing them circling? Were you going to the window and looking out?
Yeah, because I was completely terrified, but then having that inquisitive, where are they, type of need to look, having that urge to look.
Yes.
But knowing, just being terrified to look, but still. Kind of looking.
It's interesting, as you started that sentence, you really swallowed. So I'm just wondering what's happening. I mean, can you feel any of the physical feelings now that you used to have as a child? Can you, as you tell me?
Yeah, that anxiety. Yeah,
so just describe that. Where's the tension? Upper chest?
Yeah, always chest. Yeah.
Anywhere else? What does your tummy feel like?
Tummy feels fine.
Okay, but upper chest. What does it feel like? Your upper chest?
Well, my heart rate's up. I can feel that. Heavy.
What feels heavy?
My upper chest going towards my neck.
What's your breathing like?
A little bit higher. Everything seems to be tightening up.
Tightening up. And what does your mouth feel like? Does it feel just any different? Does it feel drier, for instance?
Slightly drier, but
not. So really, you're noticing much more in your upper chest and your sort of throat area.
Yes, yeah.
Hands feel all right. Feet feel all right.
Hands a little clammy, but other than that.
And your head?
Head's fine.
Eyes?
Fine.
Everything feels okay apart from it's really centred around upper respiratory.
Yeah, completely this area here.
Yeah. And it really kind of demonstrates how powerful these night terrors have been in your life. That we're sitting here and you'll still experience some of the emotion. The physical feelings are really that uncomfortable, which is very significant, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it demonstrates too, you're telling me about how you feel, but all the other people that have these experiences who are not talking about it, and who are probably telling themselves they're stupid when they're not, and making the feelings become much more distressing that way. So somehow we need to reduce those feelings and that distress, and hopefully through therapy work towards you sleeping peacefully and calmly and having happy and contented dreams, and feeling that you have power for yourself in your life, that you're in control, in other words. parents, because these terrors are very much a situation of being completely out of control. Yes, where were the other people in the house? You know, your parents, your sister, where were they when you felt you were being running from room to room?
No, I was completely alone.
So they just weren't in the house?
Yeah, there was never a mental thought, you know, during the stage that, oh, they were somewhere else. It was just me.
So did you have a sense of being alone?
Yeah, it was very much, you know, it was always trying, in terms of trying to escape or stay away from being seen. Part of the whole scary side of it was the fact that I was having to figure it out, where best to go.
If, I know it's sort of, it's hypothetical and it's, you know, I just wonder though, if you could put somebody from your family in your dream as a child, the night terror rather than dream, but in that night terror, who would be the person you would put there that would save you, if you like, rescue you?
Probably my father, yeah.
Your father? Yeah. Is it calming because you're talking to me now? Is that feeling that somehow as we talk through this you've left the terror, as it were, and we're talking about how your body feels? Completely. Does that feel that somehow it's easing for you?
Yeah, completely, yeah. The feeling of subsidence, yeah.
Okay. So when you have the night terrors going right back and all the way through, is it something that would happen? How quickly would it subside?
Afterwards, I would say 15 minutes.
Within 15 minutes?
Yeah, within 15 minutes.
Okay.
I didn't really know much about the topic of night terrors or sleep paralysis, to be quite honest. I just thought I was having really absolutely terrifying dreams, and I did for one point start thinking about supernatural activity, thinking it was, you know, kind of ghosts or some other type of paranormal being that was pinning me down and really affecting me. So I didn't know much about it, but probably in the last 5 years I've really looked into it to try and get to the bottom of it, because I think through work-related stress they've really kicked in very, very hard in the last probably about eight years or so. So yeah, didn't know much about them to start with at all, but now I feel like I'm on top of it, and you know, I'm starting to come to terms with it and just, you know, get on with things.